Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Scrapping for Less to showcase their Flavor of the Month card kit for July 2019. As always, we're going to do a reveal, and then we're going to make 5 cards using each of the collections up through the Banana Split collection that you get, or the Banana Split extras. So let's dig right in. So as always, the downloads will be available down in my video description, the links for both the ingredient sheet and the sketches that I will be using for the first 4 cards. For our cardstock, you get 2 sheets of Neenah 110 pound Classic Crest Smooth Solar White, Tangy Orange, Craft, Timber Green, Banana Split, Hot Fudge, and Night Shift Blue, and you'll get 1 sheet of each of those. So in collection 1, you're going to get the papers Under the Stars by Scrapping for Less. They are 2-sided and very different on each side. So you can go many different ways when it comes to the papers. You're also going to, get in the collection some Camping Iron stickers by Desiree. Your stamp set is by Sunny Studio called Happy Camper. And some round black and gray rhinestones by Desiree, and of course a sequin mix by Scrapping for Less. For collection 2, it's called Camping Plaid. So as you can see, plaid. So your papers are also by Scrapping for Less, and they're called Camping Plaid. Look at that. There are some really bright colors within these papers, but they also go towards autumn as well. So if you're a paper hoarder, they would be perfect for autumn cards. You're also going to get a tree embossing folder by Desiree, so you get the shape of a tree. Your stamp set is called S'more Friend Stamp Exclusive by LDRS Creative. You're going to get some wood camping icons, some wood die cuts, and then of course your sequin mix, again by Scrapping for Less. For collection 3, it's Camping number 1, and again these papers are by Scrapping for Less. So let's just say the papers are by Scrapping for Less and the sequins are always from Scrapping for Less. Let's just say that. Okay. So you can see, again, double-sided, some really cute images. And then you get a stamp set, Happy Trails, exclusive by Pink and Main for Scrapping for Less. You're going to get your sequin pack, some green and white twine by Desiree. And you're also going to get some metal-rimmed craft tags by Desiree. For collection number 4, the papers are called Summer Camping by Scrapping for Less. So you get some great images that can be into strips. You also get some cards that you could use as sentiments. And then, of course, you get your designs. The stamp set is called Camping Cuties by Scrapping for Less. You're going to get some green leaves by Desiree, some orange rhinestones by Desiree, and then, as always, your sequin mix. So remember, as everything that I just showed you here is if you are a member or if you order the Double Dip Sundae. Now, if you go up to the Banana Split level, these are the items that you will get for that level. You also will get a Sakura Glaze pen. Your colors will vary. Mine just happens to be white. You're going to get a Burlap bag. You're going to get a stamp set by Scrapping for Less called Camping Sentiment. And then you're going to get a die that says Explore by Scrapping for Less as well. So that's everything if you go up to the Banana Split. So let's get started and make our cards. So collection 1, I'm using sketch number 2. To save time, I did color my images and do any fussy cutting that I had to off camera. So I've already cut my cardstock down, and I've cut my strip that I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere going across. I'm going to take this panel and adhere it to my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I've cut that panel to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 so that I have that white border. I'm going to use some foam tape to prop up the panel where I colored my image, and I did use a matte in gray just to go around that. I'm going to use one of the stickers. I know it's a nighttime background, but just to add a little bit of sunshine, I wanted to add the sunny sticker. I do like the sentiment, go where the road takes you. So I did cut that sentiment to make it a straight line. So for collection 2, I'm going to use, again, I did some masking and stamping with my images, and I'm going to use the embossing folder, and I just want the impression of that tree on the embossing folder, as you can see there. Now again, you can put it in the other way where it would be coming towards you. So I grabbed one of my alcohol markers, just in a very pale cool gray, just to ground my 2 images there. I'm going to use my tape runner, and I'm going to place it on my mat that I've cut, and it's going to give me a 1/8 border going around my piece. I've cut my cardstock down, and I have all kinds of strips. So I used a piece of the craft that I'm going to use as a stripe across my yellow plaid there. I'm going to set that just up just a little bit, trim the edges, and then I'm going to adhere that onto my orange plaid. But first I will set the brown solid cardstock that I have that will be the backdrop for the image that I colored and embossed. It doesn't matter that I'm setting that up just a little bit, because I will be covering the base of that with my yellow plaid strip. I am going to use some double-sided foam tape to prop that strip up. And I'm just looking at, do I want to go from side to side, or do I just want to stick onto the brown? I do go side to side. Going to place my foam tape in place, and then I will pull off the release paper off of the back. I do find with this other double-sided foam tape that I have, I get it from Uline, I do have to use a craft pick to remove the release paper. I just can't pull it off, which is frustrating, but it is less expensive. I'm going to trim off the edges just to even them up, and I'm going to place my design panel right on the top. I am going to use a strip of the double-sided foam tape at the top, because this will hang over the edge of the yellow plaid that's already propped up with some foam tape. For the base, I will use my tape runner just to make sure that it adheres onto the panel that it's leaning onto. Once that's set, I am going to grab some sequins, and I was thinking about putting sequins throughout the tree, but I really do just like the embossed look that gives. So I'm just going to use one sequin, and I am placing that right at the fire just to give it a little bit of shimmer. And then I'm going to use a second layer to go right on top. I'm also going to add some sequins on each of the side on the craft strip. Again, just to add a little bit. I'm trying out this new sequin picker-upper, if that's what you want to call it. I like my wax pencils. Probably because I just need to get used to it. But yeah, I think that's part of it. I'm just not used to that, how it feels. But I do like my wax pencils better. But I wanted to give it a try. A friend of mine was gracious enough to get me that for my birthday. So we must play. That panel was cut to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, so that I will have a small white border around the edge. So I used one of the metal rim tags, and I stamped my images using archival ink in potting soil, which is a brown, and then I just used a white pencil and added some shading to the images. Now I'm going to come in with my espresso pencil. The colored pencils that I used for these projects are by Arteza, and they are the expert grade of colored pencils. I really do enjoy them, and they are at a very nice price point if you're just starting out with the colored pencils and you want to give this medium a try. So I'm just taking that brown and going around the images. It's almost like I'm outlining them, and then I get lighter as I move away from the image. So it's like a shadow faded effect that I'm getting here. And again, I'm only using 2 colors of the colored pencils, the white and let's just call it dark brown, around those edges. And you can see how those stamped images, even though they're so small, they just kind of pop right off that tag. I'm going to cut my cardstock down so I have a strip. I'm using the 2 woods from these from this collection, the 3rd collection, and now I'm just adding some double-sided foam tape on the back of one of the panels that I will set down in the center on top of the other. I do kind of offset this, and once you put this tape down, it is a complete seal. It's not like the Scotch 3M where you have time to pick it up. Once this has adhesion made, it's tough to get off. Just saying. So I'm going to set that. I'm going to use, made a fishtail at one end of the other piece, the yellow plaid. And now I'm looking to set my tag. I'm not going to add a bow. I am going to add some double-sided foam squares to the back so that that can be propped up. And then I'm going to add some sequins to the top. The sentiment that's off to the side there states "Happy Trails." So I'm going to use the large sequin where the opening is on the tag, and then I'll fill in with a couple of the small ones along with another large one off to the side. So for our final card for collection 4, we're going to do something different. I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 cardstock. It's not a card base. It's a flat piece of cardstock that's cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have another piece of white cardstock that I have cut to be 2 1/2 by 5 1/2. So what that's going to do is that's going to be my card. So it's only going to be 2 1/2 inches wide. I took those leaves and I used some of my dye inks that I have so that I could add color to them. I used a yellow, I used a red, and I even used a green. The sprays that I used are by Delusions, her spray inks. So for this little tiny card, now I set that aside because I used my art glitter glue to glue those down. So now I'm just going to add some cardstock to this smaller card that's going to be our card. You know, if you want to write your message inside, it is going to be a side folding card, technically. I'm going to add my glue to this, and I'm going to straddle these 2 cardstocks, and then I'm going to trim around the edge of the card. So you can see it's going to be skinny, which we can do. I mean, we don't need to have the full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 unless when you write a note, you write a lot. Here, if you're just, you know, saying happy trails, you know, good luck on your trip or your vacation, you know, again, you certainly have enough room. On one side of this card base, I'm going to place a piece of foam, double-sided foam tape, because I wanted that to rest onto the leaves. I figured that would give me a better grip so that this would stay in place. I'm going to set that onto the one corner, onto the edge, so it's perfectly even with the left side and the top and the bottom of the card. So now we have these leaves coming out. It's just another way to decorate, excuse me, and have a different type of card, you know? So it's just something just a little bit different. I grabbed the orange rhinestones that came in this collection. I really like the colors, and plus I love the size. You had 3 different sizes, so I'm just placing them all throughout, in between some of my images. As we got down to the smaller sizes, I felt the need to pull in my pick. It was a little bit easier to pick them up and place them down onto the card. It just adds a little bit of sparkle, but not too much. I want to keep the autumn look to that card. So of course for the banana split level, I just had to play with the burlap bag. So I cut a piece of cardstock so that I could put it onto the inside so that it could get straight. And lay flat. I then put it in my stamp positioner, and I'm going to use my archival ink again, the potting soil. So I had no idea how this was going to stamp, so I figured I would give it a try. So the more times I stamped it, the better it got. I was very pleased. So we have our image there. Now remember, archival ink will stain your stamps. It's just a given. It's okay. So I figured, well, if this worked, I wonder if the sentiments would work. Okay, so this is where it didn't work. And I was okay with it. What it did do, again, figured, okay, if I stamp it more, yep, no, there goes the finger. If I stamped it more, it would come up. It wasn't going to do that. But what it did do is gave me a shadow on the base of these 3 boards going across for the sign. So I just stamped this like 3 times, and I kept on moving it in the signs. So it gave me just a little bit of shadow. It helped to make it look 3D almost. Okay, at least it did for me. But I did really like the way the main stamp stamped. I was having fun. So you can see I've got the shadow. Now you can use many white pens that you may have. So this is a Posca, that's an acrylic paint pen, or you can use the gel pen. Now again, the gel pen that comes in the banana split level is a oh my goodness, I just went blank there. Is a glaze pen. Thank you very much. And the color may vary. I just happen to get white. You can use any type of white gel pen to give yourself just a little bit of accents or highlights onto your piece. So I was just showing the different things that you can use. I'm going to stamp out these 2 images, the compass and the backpack, and I'm going to pull out my dark brown colored pencil again by Arteza, and that's all I'm using. I'm just using that one color to add the shading to my objects. Again, it's nothing fancy with the coloring. It's just another way to do monochrome. Just because we say monochrome doesn't have to be with just black and gray and white. I mean, you can use it with shades of brown, shades of red, blue, and so forth. It's just you're creating the different values out of the one color. Now, some people say monotones, 2. Well, okay, but to me, your monochrome is just the values using one color. Again, my definition, it's what I go with. I'm sure I'm wrong. By all means, I'm sure I'm wrong. So once I'm done coloring, I am going to fussy cut these out. Now, of course, the compass has the loop at the top. So I just created a spot for a loop to be at the top of the sleeping bag. So when I use my hole puncher, I have a place to punch my hole instead of into the sleeping bag. So once these holes are punched, we are going to get them threaded onto our burlap bag. I'm going to use a needle just to pick up a section of the bag, making sure that I don't go through both of the sections to close it off. You know we do edit the videos, right? Just say. So once we got that right, I'm going to tie a knot at the top of the twine. One at the base so that it'll stay right there, and I wanted to keep it close, and then I will trim off those edges. So I just want a little bit, not a full-blown tassel coming off of them. So these are the 5 projects that we made today using the Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month card kit for July 2019. And remember, the theme of this month's kit is called Summer Camp. So there are some great images when it comes to the stamp sets that are included, and of course all of the wonderful embellishments that you get. As always, links will be provided down in the video description for both the downloads for the ingredient sheet and also the sketch sheet that I used, and then also to their website, and that includes their blog, their shop, and anything else that they have there. And of course, the best link to make sure that you get your kit for July. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and just taking the time to watch the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell because you never know what's coming up, and you want to make sure that you don't miss it. I hope everyone's having a great day. Remember, take care, but remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.